YouTube people, thank you so much for being with us tonight as we bring you our thoughts on the final day of the last 16 of Euro 2024. An evening that really came to life in the rain in Leipzig as Austria crashed out the tournament at the hands of Turkey. But anyway, enough of my yakking. Let's get this show on the road with JJ Bull and Adrian Clarke. If everyone's ready.
Let's do it.
Okay, there'll be the usual intro business for the actual podcast listeners. Blah, 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 Ronaldo, etc. and so on. And then here. Woo. All right, totally at the Euros on Tuesday, the 2nd of July, day 19 or thereabouts. In the studio today, it's Adrian Clarke. Hi, Adrian.
Hello, James.
Lovely to see you, as always. And it's a big welcome back to theme tune composing JJ Bull.
Hello.
JJ put together the little ditty, which opens each and every edition of Totally at the Euros. So thanks for that, JJ.
I still like it every time I hear it when I listen to the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Can I just, has your life changed since the BBC video blew up? Because I was so impressed. I feel a little bit in awe of you today, seeing you in real life.
It's completely different. I was used to arrived in a limo and red carpet treatment.
But you have just been a guest of honour at the Green Day concert at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, they were very good as well. I enjoyed it very much. It was nice to be in the high-flying.
So basically, you're showbiz now.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, just remember that I'm in charge.
Excellent. Looking forward to it, JJ. On the way, we got Seb Stafford-Bloor who's going to be telling us all about the Netherlands clash with Romania a little bit earlier on this day. It's not Saturday today, it feels like it. It's a Tuesday. A little bit earlier on Tuesday. Michael Cox with an on-the-whistle report on Austria-Turkey. What a turn-up that proved to be. We'll also, ahead of Friday's Portugal-France quarterfinal, hear from one of the editors at Record, the top Portuguese football paper, David Nova, who will be explaining why his paper hasn't gone with "In God's Name Go" as their reaction to the Slovenia last 16 game. Anyway, let's get the results on this Tuesday at 5 o'clock in Munich. It kicked off between Netherlands and Romania, and it finished with a 3-0 win for the Netherlands, who are now officially back. Boom. Gakpo got his third of the tournament. He then assisted Daniel Malen, who got a brace off the bench, and that doesn't happen often. Only the fourth player to do that in Euros history. Fact. At 8 o'clock in Leipzig, it was Turkey-Austria, and that finished 2-1 to Turkey, bringing us up to exactly 100 goals for the tournament so far. Woof. Turkey and Netherlands are going to meet next Saturday in Berlin, and a game that we are already salivating over. But tonight we're all about discussing what happened on this Tuesday, and we're going to begin in Leipzig. What kind of comms do you have in mind here? Oh, I suppose it's the Gulak save at the end, isn't it? Yeah. That'll be some crazy shouting. Whoa, what a finale in Leipzig. Actually, am I going to go like that? Yeah. Whoa, what a finale in Leipzig. 2-1. Turkey beating Austria. Dark horse latest, the 2021 edition, putting out this year's hipster choice with 2 goals from Merit Demirel, who's making an extraordinary career comeback on this Tuesday evening. We'll discuss that maybe as we go through the action. But let's begin with players from both sides flat out on the final whistle there in Leipzig, and the Turkey bench streaming onto the field with the on-the-whistle thoughts of Michael Cox. Michael, in Leipzig, Turkey are in the quarterfinals. What a finish to the game. Describe the scenes.
Yeah, just incredible. There's a player on the pitch now. The Turkey players are forming some kind of circle around the centre circle and having a team talk. Yeah, it was an incredibly frantic game. I don't know if it comes across at home, but the weather is absolutely awful. Incredible rain throughout the second half. I thought in terms of the quality of football, it was absolutely dreadful, but that made it a fantastic spectacle. Turkey, I think, completely lost their heads. I mean, 30 minutes from time, we're just playing like it was 5 minutes to go. Depending on the edge of the penalty area, no real countering threat, no intent to keep the ball. And Austria just kept on coming. I thought they kind of lacked ideas in the first half, but almost like they didn't need ideas in the second half because they had all the possession, all the territory. They put balls into the box and things happened. And that save at the end, I haven't seen a replay, but from my angle, looked like an absolutely almost Gordon Banks style save. It was fantastic.
Well, that's exactly what Adrian here was calling it. Remarkable. The best chance for Austria. What looked like the last seconds of the game. Baumgartner with the header. Incredibly wet conditions. An extraordinary save from Gulag.
Yeah, it was. I actually thought he looked a little bit nervy in the 10 minutes before that. He was punching away a couple of balls I thought he could have called and that kind of thing. But, I mean, in the end, it was just all about balls into the box. Obviously, 2 corners that Turkey scored from. After the first one, Austria had an incredibly good chance from a corner, just whipped along the goal line almost. And then Austria got back into the game from a corner, flicked on. And late on, it was just, I mean, it was like watching a championship game from the 20th century, but thoroughly entertaining. A really good atmosphere here. I mean, pretty much every game I've been to, there's been a good atmosphere, but obviously pretty convenient for Austria fans to come over. Loads of Turks here in Germany. There's loads of them here as well. So, yeah, a great end, I think, to a second round that started well, went a bit flat with yesterday's games. But, yeah, really entertaining once you round it all on.
Turkey are in the quarterfinals. There's been so much talk about Austria, but what do you think about what Montella has done with this Turkey side?
I mean, I've always been a big Montella fan. I loved his Fiorentina team, just incredibly technical. I think he's got faith in the good footballers. I almost think they're the opposite to Austria, who are kind of just pressers and runners. Whereas I think Turkey have got a lot of technical players. I mean, Gula is fantastic. Obviously, they were without Çalhanoğlu tonight. I always think with Turkey, they're an incredibly emotional team. I think you saw that here the last half hour. Like I say, I think they completely lost their heads. They let Austria into a game that 2-0, maybe they shouldn't have had a way back into the game, but I thought they were almost squabbling with each other. I mean, even the fact the fans were chucking things onto the pitch, and I think something hit Sabitzer, which you don't like to see. I think they completely lacked composure, to be honest. But they had 2 great players in Demiral, who I thought defended the box brilliantly. And yeah, as we said, the goalkeeper with that save kept them in it. So I'm not sure they will go too much further in the competition because they lack a bit of tactical intelligence more than anything else. But they've participated in 2 of the best games. The game against Georgia and the game here have been absolutely tremendous.
Brilliant. Michael Cox, thank you so much. Have a safe journey home.
Thanks very much. Cheers, Jim.
There you go, Michael Cox. Calling the football dreadful but entertaining and suggesting that Turkey might not go too much further. What do you think after what you've seen this evening, Adrian?
I think it's going to be a great game against the Netherlands. I think, 2 teams that aren't brilliant tactically. I think they're a little bit open. Both teams will go on the front foot. I think Michael called it right there, actually. I think they are a team with feel, an emotional team. They lack a little bit of organisation, but I love the flair. I like the improvisation of Turkey. They pop up in areas that you're not expecting them to, and they're just a little bit wild. I do think that the Netherlands might have too much quality for them, but fair play to them in this game. Fair play, because as Coxie rightly pointed out, they declared with half an hour to go, they said, we're happy with this. We are going to sit on the edge of our box, and they got deeper and deeper and deeper and somehow survived. And yeah, what a moment that was at the end of the game.
What a moment at the end of the game. What a moment at the start of the game with a goal after just 57 seconds scored by Mehmet Demiral.
Yeah, Güler, really important, his corner, which goes to a part of the box where there's actually no one in a Turkey shirt standing there. But it bounces right on the guy's foot, so it's kind of hard to deal with. And then, like, a couple of players sort of switch off, it's almost like they've been powered off, and all of a sudden they realise that they're in a game, but then it's too late.
Posh, I think, and then it's going into the goal, and then the keeper pushes it out into the path of Demiral.
He had to do something, has to react to it. He's not done anything particularly wrong there. It is weird, though, how... who is it that switches off? Is
Posh,
it Posh?
So,
Posh, yeah. It's just like literally been switched off. And then they forget where they are.
Perhaps he's not quite in game state yet, or maybe he's too much in a game state. But Turkey, this must have been such a big game for them because their previous meeting, we talked about this yesterday, was in a friendly, but it was quite recently in Vienna, back in the spring, and they lost 6-1. One of the players who was most at fault, or at least was most culprated for their performance, was Demiral, who's also, I mean, the last Euros he kicked off Turkey's campaign with an own goal against Italy. His career, he used to play for a variety of Atalanta, Juve, etc. I think he's off in Saudi now, you were saying, JJ. His career, is it? Right, okay. His career has taken a bit of a nosedive, but the opening goal here and then their second goal as well.
Yeah, I mean, another Arda Güler corner. Like he puts real whip on them. They must have worked on exactly where it's going to the near post to jump above. Both the players needs to beat to get into there. They both look really angry with each other. I think Danzo was going a bit nuts.
It's not like two small players he's jumped between. It's the two centre halves.
It's some leap, yeah. He is about 6'4", I think I've read, Demiral. So that kind of gives you a bit of an advantage.
I think in swinging corners with pace, you can't go wrong with them. Like, I mean, they are the percentage play. I know that Liverpool like an outside an outswinger, an outswinger. They have quite a bit of success. But I'll tell you what, last season in the Premier League, so many teams scored goals and they whipped it in as an in-swinger towards that near post. Runners coming across the front zone of markers to score. It happened every weekend, I would say. If it didn't happen every weekend, it happened numerous times on other weekends. It was. I think that is the percentage corner, and tonight. Yeah, Turkey made Austria pay, didn't they?
Everyone thought. Sorry, JJ.
It's the classic Football Manager set piece routine that you should use, is going to the near post as well.
It's one of the things. That, yeah.
Do you know them? Like Turkey scoring that goal within the first minute, or whatever it was the mid-side of minute, wasn't it? They can't obviously plan for that, but it suited their game style so perfectly because then they can just sit off Austria and let them come to them, and then they can. Like Austria don't have much pace going in behind. They don't have anyone really who can take the ball down from long kicks. So for the first half, they were playing their back line quite high, but knowing that Austria couldn't get in behind them, and they were also able to have like a bit of a mid block and not try and do anything with them. So they were just stuck in front of this big Turkey block, which sounds like an odd sentence. They're stuck in front of that, which meant that they couldn't really play they wanted to. But I mean, it's obviously you want to take a lead against a team, but they did well in the first half to keep them quiet, which they couldn't have done without doing that goal early.
And you can't get pressed if you don't have the ball.
Well, that's so true, isn't it?
So and that really, I think, is Austria's best way of creating chances when they steal it high up the pitch. When they actually have it, as we saw tonight in the last half an hour,
right?
Lots of the ball, lots of pressure, but not a lot of guile really. They did create some good chances, but
and particularly that one at the end. Have we spoken enough about the Gunnock save?
Definitely not. I mean, I was taking the mickey out of the goalkeeper for being Superman, wasn't I, here in the studio? Because he came out, didn't he, and completely missed a cross. And Baumgartner, who could easily have scored 3 or 4 goals tonight, heads over the bar with the goal at his mercy, and then he does absolutely nothing wrong. Baumgartner in the last kick of the match practically. It's the perfect downward header. It's a wet surface. It skids off at an unbelievable speed. I do not know how he saved it. I think it's one of the greatest saves I've ever seen, and I'm not exaggerating. I genuinely think you're hard pushed to find a better and also a more important save.
It must just be that he's anticipating, like, that's exactly what I would do, that the ball's there. Yeah. You have to put it there because you're taught to. It's the most obvious thing to do. Well, not even obvious, just that's what you do to try and score that goal.
Yeah. It was 2-1 at that point. It would have taken it to extra time. And as you'd mentioned, Turkey had really retreated Austria very much in the ascendancy. It was Gregoric who'd come on, who scored a hat-trick in that infamous 6-1 friendly victory before he'd come on and made it 2-1 and really given the sense that Austria were on the march and coming back into this. But it's Turkey who goes through to the quarterfinals. So Michael's not big on their chances of going deep in this competition. They will have Çalhanoğlu back next game, though.
Yeah, and he can make a difference. Like, he can unlock a defence with a long switched pass or one of those through balls. I mean, I thought Arda Güler today was unbelievably good. Just little small things, and all footballers should be quite good at first touches. But some of the things Güler does when he receives the ball under pressure, surrounded, he just takes one touch, takes it the opposite way to play, takes them all out of the game, and then he holds it up. He's only small, it looks like, but he's got really good balance and strength, holds off players, and then makes the right decision. That's decision making is a thing, right? It makes the great players different from the good ones, and he's got it. I think. Like, I love watching him play.
I think he could be he could play false 9.
I think he sort of was. He was helping lead press at times with dropping in. I think we were talking about this before, right? Before we went here. But like, I wonder what position he ends up being in eventually, because a lot of players end up starting as forwards and dropping in.
Well, particularly at his club, given the other players available.
Well, it's why I thought maybe Modric, like the Modric replacement, might be eventually what he does, because you can see, like, he can dictate a game. He can also do that surprising things like Messi or Modric can do.
But I think that's maybe what Çalhanoğlu would do in terms of the Turkish national team.
all maybe then Çalhanoğlu you can play him as a 10 or play him as
Yeah.
part of the two midfield behind, I suppose.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Netherlands next for Turkey, but tremendous fun as they've been all the way through. That's now 13 goals, I think, in their 4 matches. And
I think in general it's nice to see. I think teams like them and Netherlands, Germany, and Spain have been quite refreshing, very attack minded, haven't they? So it's kind of nice that some of them regimented, little bit boring, but very well drilled teams are gone. I'm happy with that, aren't you?
yeah. Which camp would you put England in?
Neither.
Neither. All right. No need to talk about England. They don't play until Saturday, I think, in their quarter final.
The boring camp, but yeah, not tactically great.
So far, anyway, Netherlands up against Turkey on Saturday. Let's talk about. Netherlands up against Turkey on Friday. Let's talk about Netherlands 3-0 win over Romania earlier on Tuesday. Some comments of Netherlands goals. 3-0. So that was a thingy, wasn't it? What's his face? Doniel Marlin. Oh, the lovely breakaway goal.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I know.
It's so weird. I was like, what are you talking about Tuesday? I watched it today. Oh, it is, yeah.
It's genuinely Tuesday. Yeah, lost in limbo, lost in time, and lost in space and meaning. Do you know where that quote's from? Good for you if you do. Anyway, okay, good. Woof. If you haven't seen that goal, go and check it out because it's an absolute beauty breakaway move and it features a random pair of high tops by the looks of it. The provenance of which is the subject of much debate. However, the main talking point in Munich on Tuesday afternoon was the fact that the Netherlands apparently are back. Let's get the thoughts of Seb Stafford-Bloor. Seb Stafford-Bloor. Memo from Munich. We need to take the Netherlands seriously.
We sure do, Jimbo. They played extremely well. They created a lot of chances. They were far too good for Romania. I think a lot of us so far during this tournament have seen quite a stodgy Dutch team, quite an underwhelming one, quite a sort of underutilization of the talent in that squad. This was not that at all. This was one of those performances where you think, actually, this team could go quite a long way.
For much of the game, the mystery was how they had only managed to score 1 goal given the number of chances. What was the difference, do you think, about this performance?
To me, I thought that there was a little bit of a drop-off in Romania. I thought there was a real lack of pressure on the Dutch centre halves, on midfield. Reinders played ever so well in midfield. Actually, he was really excellent, really sort of upright and kind of compelling Beckenbauer stance of his. I think also they did a really good job of exploiting the gaps between the centre backs and the full backs. Time after time, that kind of area of the Romanian side was left unprotected and exposed. In the end, I mean, you asked how it was that they only scored 3 eventually, but how it remained 1-0 for so long. Really through some pretty heroic defending. A lot of bodies being thrown at shots, a lot of really good blocks and tackles. I thought Radu Dragosan, the Tottenham centre-half, played very, very well. And had to, because obviously there's a difference between good defending and dramatic defending. And Romanian back forward did the best they could, unfortunately.
Dragosan's block on an early chance for Netherlands very much fell in the dramatic category. It was Gakpo, who's now on 3 goals for the tournament, scored the first, cuts inside, beautiful goal. He then very cleverly keeps a ball alive and sets up Doniel Marlin for the second. Marlin then gets the third after the 90 with a brilliant breakaway run. How significant is it, the fact that he came on for Memphis Depay, who's been misfiring and scored 2 goals? And what can you tell us about the 2 shoes that loomed large in that third goal?
Yeah, good questions. We'll deal with the football first. I actually thought Memphis played pretty well. He had one great moment in the first half where he crossed up a defender, beat him to the byline and created what should have been, at that point, the second goal. I think the problem is that he's not an orthodox 9, and so he's sitting in front of defenders or playing out wide, probably not challenging centre-backs as much as the Netherlands want him to be, or would benefit from him doing. The Marlin thing, I mean, he was very impactful as a substitute. I don't think it necessarily has an implication in terms of whether he's going to start in the next game, purely because this was kind of one of those game state subs where what you want from Marlin is that breakaway pace. He's someone who doesn't always put everything together in the same move. He's very direct, very skillful, can finish. Doesn't always do those 3 things in sequence. Did it this evening, but then I suppose part of that described the way the Romania were playing by that point, which was to commit more bodies forward, to leave their back four even more exposed. They'd also had to suffer a little bit of a reshuffle because of that nasty head injury in the first half, which have to say, Jimbo, happened right in front of us. It was horrible, really, really nasty. The shoes, Shoegate, the shoe episode, we're not sure. So, real highlight of my journalistic career, I've asked UEFA to clarify what happens next. Firstly, how did the shoe get there? Because at first we believed it came from a young boy who invaded the pitch and had to be taken away by security, possibly shoeless. Not the case, because unless he was a child with size 14 shoes, probably not. We will find out. I will keep you updated. People should subscribe to The Athletic for this kind of thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It was the third goal, and Netherlands were going through anyway, but there's a real case that Marlon might not have scored that goal had the Romania keeper not had to clear one of the shoes out the way, even as Marlon was approaching his goal.
Yeah, double trouble, really, because he had to clear away the shoe, kicked it off the pitch, and kind of was distracted by that. But if he leaves the shoe on the pitch, does that cause a kind of Darren Bent, Pepe Reina style issue? Don't know. But then, hey, Jimbo, international quality goalkeepers, you've got to make decisions quickly. You've got to make the right ones, don't you?
Indeed so. Well, it's Romania who get the showing from the Netherlands, and through they sail. Seb, enjoy a day or two off, I hope, ahead of the quarterfinals, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
You sure will. TBD on the days off.
The excellent Seb Stafford-Bloor. What a great response from Ronald Koeman and co. Their previous game was the 3-2 defeat to Austria, which saw them getting pelters from the critics, of whom there are many back in the Netherlands. But they looked much, much better. Everybody says so. Why, JJ?
Well, I thought against Austria, they looked a little bit slow, as almost they didn't expect how much pressure they're going to be put under, and the waves of attack coming from Austria. And then I thought for the first 10 minutes of this, they did the same thing, where Romania were just going at them. And it looked like this is going to be really fun, because Romania they've got all the energy, all the momentum, all the aggression. They're going straight for them. But you could also sort of tell they wouldn't be able to do it for that long. And they had a couple of chances, I think, but didn't quite manage to get anything from it in the first 13 minutes. And it just switches up. And I think Netherlands then start being able to be much calmer in possession. They stay brave with it. So they're really brave in possession when the press is coming, just to keep it and play through. I thought the way that what's his name, Schouten, and Reinders in midfield, two different players. Like Schouten's playing more like the sort of pivot role. I'm trying to. They said it was that's how you said it.
Apologies to any Dutch listeners.
Yeah,
I'm
trying.
Pretty Dutch.
Schouten, that's Schouten.
Reinders, but
Reinders. I got that one wrong. Easy one.
On Reinders,
yeah.
I looked at because I thought I was watching the game, and I thought Reinders is playing well. He's dominating the game. I don't think he's given the ball away. And I looked, he didn't give the ball away. He'd made 40-odd passes in that first half, all of them perfect.
It's good because he was the one that always comes deep and brings it out, and then Schouten's the one who's in the middle.
I thought their central midfield in some of the other games was a bit bland. I got to be honest. I didn't think they really took a grip of the game. It was a little bit meh. But in this match, both those guys, once the Dutch got the lead, they bossed that game. And I thought they were great. And Reinders played a couple of beauties in between the centre-half and the full-back. And I think the big difference in this game was Dumfries. One of the best marauding wing-back, right-backs going, isn't he? And he spent most of the game in that sort of quadrant, didn't he?
Yeah.
Making things happen. And I thought that was a big difference.
The touch of the weasels about Dumfries, so like
you thinking about that moment late on when Romania were breaking downfield and he sort of feigned a head injury to break up their attack.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. There's one where I think he goes down the box and he's tried like oh, I'm falling, you know, and I don't like that.
No.
Okay. And they shouldn't.
Did you like Gakpo's opening goal though?
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
I think the debate over whether the goalkeeper should not stop it because it's near post is quite interesting, because I think if someone fires the ball that hard at your near post, it's so fast, like so pure right in between them, it's difficult.
So then he dances along the touchline to keep alive that ball when I think everyone's given it up for a goal kick. Yeah. And except for Daniel Marlon, who recognises what's about to happen and makes the run and is there to put it away when he cuts it back inside.
Do you know the second touch in that? So like there's one touch he does to keep it in, but the second one, because he has to put it in such a way that it's sort of spinning out again, and he just is soft enough that it kills the spin on it. It's brilliant. Like, it's such a weird touch. And I thought Malin's a really frustrating player to watch because he makes the wrong decision almost every time. Really? But then he ends up, there's one where he's wide and he has two players to pass to, and Koeman goes absolutely nuts in the sidelines. But like, still good players getting right positions and finishes that. And then he does do well to finish the third.
The third goal was magnificent. So he comes off the bench, as I mentioned, for Memphis Depay, and within, I think, 10 minutes or so, has a brace. Is that right? Have I got my numbers scrambled? He certainly scores the third goal.
Well, he came on at half time for Bergwijn, didn't he? Yeah.
But sorry, the 2 goals are within the space of 10 minutes, I should say, right.
Okay.
And the ball breaks free after a Romania, kind of desperate Romania attempt to get back into the game. Falls to him well within his own half, and off he scampers.
Yeah, and he just ducked inside the defender and placed it beautifully, didn't he, at the near post. It was a bit like Gakpo's goal, wasn't it, in terms of the nature of the way he finished off the move. But yeah, look, they were good value for it. I thought they could easily have scored 5 or 6 in the game. Netherlands. I think there was 23 shots to 5 in the end. I did think that Romania, once they fell behind, there wasn't much of a gear change there. I think their belief went a little bit.
The clock struck midnight a little bit.
I think they just realised, we're in with the big boys now, and don't know if we've got enough to get out of this hole, and they didn't, did they? But it was a confidence boosting win, I think, for the Netherlands, and they look much more like a team, a bit more aggression about them.
I think they'd be good at playing against those teams who are low blocky and you have to break them open, like the way Austria couldn't today. I think they'll be better at being able to unlock that sort of stuff. It's where, like, Memphis Depay, another quite frustrating player to watch, because know there's a player in there. They just come up with something that opens that up, and not every country has players like that.
So are you saying that they are suited to playing Turkey on Saturday, Netherlands?
Yeah, I think Turkey will sit back probably in that 5-4-1 for a lot of the game and try and rely on Güler getting out of trouble now and again for a lot of it. That said, like we were talking about earlier, they're more fun to watch on the ball, Turkey. They were disciplined for a lot of it, and I agree with what Michael was saying about losing their heads a little bit in the second half, because you kind of do, right? Yeah. It's a big game. Yeah. But I think that's where I think the Netherlands will be all right at dealing with that. They'd have more to them.
I think the Netherlands might cause Turkey a lot of problems with set pieces. I know that tonight was a set piece night for Turkey. They did let in quite a bad goal with the the Debrau, who was the hero, just let the guy walk off him, didn't he, to score the goal, Gregoritsch. But the Dutch, I thought, could have scored 4 or 5 goals from corners alone in the game against Romania. Van Dijk he's a menace, isn't he, inside the box? He's not the only one. So yeah, I fancy Koeman's team to make it the semis now.
Okay, they're the only team in that side of the bracket that's ever won this tournament before. Of course, it was in Germany that they did it in 1988. Their next game will be on Saturday, so we'll talk about that in Friday's show. But today, let's finish off next with a quick look at what awaits on Friday in the quarterfinals. Woo! Friday's quarterfinals are an especially sizzling-looking Spain-Germany, and the other one is Portugal-France. Build up to... Oh, no, sorry, I'm going to do a little promo here. Ooh, sorry about that. Let me just grab that, take that out of there, put this down here. Right, okay. Oh, okay. Dum. Daily Football Briefing is with you every day during the summer, featuring all the football news that you could possibly need to know in the space of just 10 minutes. Woof. There's also every afternoon the Athletic FC podcast, which is a deep dive, a little bit more nuanced, lasts longer than 10 minutes, all that kind of thing. For example, today being Tuesday, JJ.
Thank you.
The spotlight was turned by the Athletic FC podcast onto the transfer activities and PSR wranglings of Newcastle United. David Ornstein and Chris Waugh weighing in on that. Fascinating topic that I must admit has befuddled me. That whole June 30th business, and it's all explained in the Athletic FC podcast. So, my way home. Yeah. Anyway, right, before I get to depart the studio, we're going to have a quick look at the quarterfinals. Spain against Germany is huge, but somehow after what happened on Monday, so is Portugal-France. Particularly the question for most of us here watching, Ronaldo. Should Portugal do a Clive Tildesley on him? That is a question we'll be addressing really, really shortly. But first off, pride of place goes to Spain-Germany, the top team so far against the hosts, the 2 teams indeed who have created the most big chances at this tournament. Is it as much of a... how close is this? Is it? How close is this one set to be, do you think, JJ?
I really hope I get to watch this one. I'm going to be away this weekend, but I think it'll be incredibly fun. I think it should be a really good game. They both play with very distinct styles. Spain are a little bit more flexible, perhaps. I think we've seen enough of them and their wingers to know where the damage is going to be caused, probably. But you've also got Fabian Ruiz running the midfield. Then Germany, quite narrow, lovely movement up top. I don't know. I see more holes in Germany for some reason. I think there's something about that Spain could take advantage of.
Have Spain played a decent team yet?
I can't remember.
They beat Croatia.
Croatia looked pretty bad.
I'm not sure what
Italy
it
were
is.
You couldn't really
abject.
call Italy decent, could
No,
you?
I don't think you could. Albania, did well, but Germany, I thought, were really impressive in their last game.
Yeah.
Rodri against Kroos, if you're a bit of a midfielder aficionado.
Yeah.
In what could be Toni Kroos's last game ever.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? Yeah, I agree with JJ. I think these two sides remind me of club teams more than anyone else at the tournament.
More than Austria?
Yeah, because they play the game with pace, real pace. There's a tempo and a speed to them, and they want to attack, and they attack quite quickly. Germany use the movement of Havertz, don't they, very well.
Yeah.
I think he's a really important player for them, and I thought they played well against Denmark, and then obviously Spain. The whole midfield, as in the three and then the two wide guys, have been phenomenal in every game. So, I think Spain probably win.
Yeah.
But both teams to score. That's kind of where I'm headed.
Do you know, just to add on to Adrian's point, I feel like both those teams, if you're doing the club team comparison, it's like the players individually are on the same wavelength. They all understand what each other's going to do, innately. So you can just give them a bit of structure, and they sort of know where everyone's going to be. And without wanting to bring England into it again, you see the opposite. There's just loads of people not quite in the same level. You see with France, there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes with what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you want a quick stat, which I've just noticed?
I'd love one.
Spain have never, ever, in a World Cup or European Championship, eliminated a host nation. Ugh. Never. I mean, the example that comes to mind immediately is South Korea in Korea-Japan 2002, an infamous match in for Spanish football fans, and Germany very much a host team. So significant? I don't know. Anyway, let's.
I like those stats, but they're just not relevant, are they? But
I mean, you say that, but they're literally Spain, and the other team are literally the host.
It's
so
like a team's never won on a Thursday night and stuff like that. It is nonsense.
All right then, Adrian. We'll move on to Portugal, France. As I hinted, the remarkable events of Portugal's 1-0 win Monday over Slovenia have really been dominating chat since. In particular, one Cristiano Ronaldo. The post-penalty tears, the insistence on taking every free kick, and the growing sense that this talented team is essentially being held back by a man in a kind of Proustian chase after his fast escaping extra something. Is Ronaldo, as I said earlier, Portugal's Joe Biden? A tremendous leader, but the time has passed and now a bit of a liability. Well, what do they think in Portugal, most importantly? Let's find out by hearing from David Novo of top Portuguese football newspaper Record.
David, first of all, for us watching it totally, and I don't know how it was for you, the Ronaldo question seemed to be huge. We're kind of back asking it again. Can this team afford to have a player who's no longer functioning at those levels? So we saw at the World Cup when he was dropped, and there was, I think, the last 16 game against Switzerland, and Portugal responded with that incredible performance, winning 6-1.
Yeah.
And it felt like a change had finally been made, with all due respect to everything he's done for the team. Is there a sensation in Portugal now that after what you saw, how narrowly you escaped yesterday against Slovenia, that the time has come to make that change?
Maybe it's hard to admit it. Of course, I believe it's not easy to put Ronaldo on the bench. Everyone says that all players are equal, but it's not the same. I think one thing is to put Gonçalo Ramos in the bench. Another thing is to put Cristiano Ronaldo in the bench. But we are seeing a Cristiano Ronaldo who is not selfish. We saw it with the assist he made to Bruno Fernandes. I think he's more a team guy now. But at the same time, of course, he wants to score that goal. He's missing that goal to break another record, to be the first player to score at 6 Euros. So I agree with all that, but I think that the question should be made if Portugal is better with Cristiano or without. I think that yesterday we saw periods where maybe he could be replaced physically, and more than physically, I think that emotionally he was different. It was strange to see him like that, crying. Of course, he has the right to cry. He's a human being. Of course, he's not a machine. It seems that he's the machine sometimes, but he's a human being, of course. And the emotional stuff with the penalty missed at the same time, we all understand that he wants to score another penalty so that he can be relieved after his mistake, of course. But I think that that question should be made. And I think that Roberto Martinez should understand also that, for example, against France, if Cristiano, I believe he's going to be in the starting lineup, but if Cristiano is not physical and emotionally in his best, he should be replaced. But at the same time, I understand that it's difficult because from now on, it's going to be his last game at the Euro. And I think that for Martinez, it's not easy to be that guy that took Ronaldo off in his last match of the European Championship. But choices have to be made. It is what it is. And if Portugal wins without Cristiano, and it happened before, that is the most important thing because Portugal wants to win with Cristiano, of course. But if at that time Cristiano is not on the pitch, most important thing is to win the match.
Yeah, this is Portugal's Euro 24 campaign, not Cristiano Ronaldo's farewell tour. You think he's going to start against France? Do you think, based on what you've seen from Ronaldo so far this tournament, that Portugal can beat France with Ronaldo in the lineup?
I think so, but I think it's not only Ronaldo. It's not only a matter of if Ronaldo is good or not. Of course, he's one of the most important players. Yesterday, we didn't see Bruno Fernandes at his highest level. Bernardo Silva was not at his highest level. The replacements, Diogo Jota, there are several players that maybe we're expecting a little bit more from them.
Is there a feeling there that some of these other players that you mentioned, or others who haven't been able to make an impact like João Felix or Gonzalo Ramos, it's because of Ronaldo's dominance of the team that players are not able to express themselves the way that they did in that 6-1 back in the World Cup?
We have a few matches without Cristiano. That's the thing. We had that match against Switzerland. We had a match against Luxembourg where Portugal won like 9-0 without Cristiano, but it's hard to tell if it was because of Cristiano was not playing because the opponent was not that strong. But I think the most important thing is we have to try it. Why not? Let's imagine the game against France. I think, of course, for what he represents on the field and represents off the field and the status that he has and the message that we send to the opponent that Cristiano is playing is different than the Cristiano is at the bench. I believe that is important also. But at the same time, if Cristiano is not giving, and Cristiano or another player like Bernardo Silva or Bruno Fernandes are not playing what they can, if you have to take him at the 60th minute or something like that, we have to do it. And not just to try to force it until it happens. I think that's what happened yesterday. It was like, let's force it until he scores. Let's force it until he gets the goal he needs, especially after the penalty missed. And maybe at the same time, Roberto Martinez has to look at the bench and say, well, it's not working this way. Let's put Gonzalo Ramos in. Let's put João Felix in. Let's put, I don't know. We have a lot of players. And for that, the coach has to have the courage, of course. But at the end, like I said, it doesn't matter if Cristiano is playing more or less or 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Important thing is to win. Because at the end, if Portugal wins the Euro, and I think it will be really difficult to manage that, especially playing like this. At the end, the story will tell that Portugal won the Euro, not Cristiano won the Euro. Of course, Cristiano will won the Euro for the second time, but it's not the most important thing. And I think Cristiano thinks like that. Martinez might think like that. Everyone thinks like that, but they are not showing it. It shows for the press and for the supporters like he has to play. He has to play the 90 minutes. He has to score. He has to be the star. And it doesn't have to be like that.
There you go. David Novo with the view from Record newspaper in Portugal. He's going to play, isn't he?
Of course he's going to play. Well, he's the gaffer.
Yeah.
Isn't he? I mean, Roberto Martinez isn't. He's the coach in name only, really.
you think?
He can't. Yeah. He can't take Ronaldo off. He couldn't leave him out of the third group game because Cristiano said, no, I want to break the record. I want to play and get my goal. He's running the ship, isn't he?
You know that? Remember that TV show Quantum Leap?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how like the main characters every week had to make a task so he'd be able to complete his mission, wasn't it?
I never actually watched it, but he went back in time or something.
There's always like a task you'd have to do to fulfill to move on, to leap.
Right.
So clearly Ronaldo's is to score at the Euros,
Okay.
or he'll never be able to leap.
No way.
Yeah. So we know what
He's
the weight
he's
is
had
carrying.
20 shots so far without scoring.
I mean, taking free kicks from that far out is nuts. And like speaking to set piece coaches in the past, like you barely even shoot from them now. Like you're meant to do more and put them wide and put the ball in the box, try and draw the opponent's defence out.
I was surprised that David, and perhaps he was being diplomatic, in deference to Ronaldo's extraordinary career, wasn't saying we cannot believe this. We can't afford to have another game like this.
Didn't they ask him? Was it Jose Font that was on the TV as a pundit, and they said, look, can't somebody just go up to him and say, look, you've had 2 goes, it's not working, or you've had 3 goes, like it's my turn now. He's like, no, absolutely not. You can't do that, and that's just mad, isn't it? In a top class environment.
The quotes afterwards from for example, Martinez was Ronaldo. What courage to take the first penalty in the shootout. He showed us the way, and I'm thinking that's really not the narrative that I took from the 120 minutes. Yeah, he did take that and show courage and respect for that. But
a lot of, I mean, I don't want to be too cynical with it, but it could be trying to do a little bit of PR massaging where you like the humility when he misses and he goes to the crowd and he's very upset with it. I mean, he's clearly carrying quite a lot of weight on his shoulders to break down in tears after the. I mean, that
there's
every possibility.
Real,
it's more than just a penalty miss. He's got a lot to deal with there. So that's one thing, and there is a human side of it. I think that, I mean, in terms of pure footballing stuff, there are a couple moments when there's the late one when he breaks away, and if he'd gone through, well, he did go through, but he misses a shot. There's one, with the Turkey own goal. Where they pass it back, and if he'd got the right pass in, he would have been through, and it could have all happened. There's still moments where he can just spring to life and change a game.
Right.
You do get that, and in these knockout tournaments, sometimes that's what you need.
If you were managing Portugal, though, you wouldn't pick him from the start in this game, or would you?
It's so difficult because, yes, he's 39, whatever. I mean,
I think you'd only pick him out of muscle memory. When you watch that game, there were so many moments when if he had ... but he didn't again and again and again. You have players who probably could take one of those chances.
I think it's one of those where, if you leave him out, then you say, well, you see it so much better. But if you leave him in and he scores the goal, you go, well, he was Ronaldo.
Against France,
how
many chances are they going to get? Can they really afford for him to kind of...
I don't know. I mean, the entire of the way that Portugal play is... I'm surprised, really surprised by how boring they are. Like, Martinez has done a proper number on them. Same with Belgium when he had them as well. They're so dull. It's so slow. And it opens them up to hitting a goal in transition. I mean, the way I'd imagine this game will go, Portugal-France, is that Portugal will be slow, nothing happens. It's Ronaldo's fault, bang on the counter-attack, and you've got Mbappe and Thuram through, and they'll get something that happens from it. And that's how I see it happening.
Low score. Yeah, if we fancy goals in Spain, Germany, you don't really fancy goals in Portugal.
It's a 0-0 or 1-0.
It's tight. They should be better. I think they'd be a stronger side without Cristiano. I think they've got options. They've got Joao Felix. They've got Diogo Jota, Ramos. Jota's a great finisher, absolutely superb. So, I think when Messi won the World Cup with Argentina, it wasn't about Messi, was it? Like, we wanted it to be about Messi, but I never got the sense that...
I mean, it was Messi's for me.
It was Messi World Cup, but he didn't make it about himself. He was just brilliant in it. I just think with this, it feels like everything's built towards Cristiano's got to break this record. And he's really the only one that cares.
It'd be quite funny if Pepe scored and then he can never, ever... I think he's got to play until he's 45 or something, I think deep down I probably do agree that you don't need to have him in the team and you just have him... I think a selfless player who realises the limitations, you stay on the bench. But like I was trying to say, he's 39. He's still fitter than a lot of other players. He lost a bit of a yard of pace, but he can become a poacher. Like Miroslav Klose was top scorer in the World Cup.
I just wonder because his game has been built around a certain level of performance, even though his performances still way above what most people, even most professional athletes, can come up with, because it's not what his mind anticipates, that he will commit to things which he's not capable of. If
Yeah.
he'd always been playing at this level, he'd be a great footballer, but he's not. No longer the player who can realise the chances that he used to be able to, and those are still the chances that he tries to do. I don't know. You know what? There would be nothing greater than if he proved me and everybody who's saying similar things wrong on Friday. With all due respect to France, it would be a fabulous thing to witness. Let's see. And we'll be back late Friday evening with a brand new Totally at the Euros. So I do hope you'll join us for that, wherever you might be. JJ, you'll be off on your stag do in Belfast.
Not my stag do, but my friends. Yeah.
Not your stag do, but a stag do in Belfast.
Yeah.
So, do enjoy that, Adrian. I hope you enjoy your Friday night.
Yeah,
And,
I'm looking forward to it too. Yeah, one game should be more entertaining than the other, but four good teams.
You never know, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
You never know. All right, well, thanks to both of you for being in today. Many thanks to Liam and guest producer Lucy in the booth, and David Novo and Seb Stafford-Bloor and Michael Cox. And I think that was everybody who joined us today. You, of course, listener. And be back with us, why not, on Friday. For now, from all of us here, it's goodbye. Hurrah.